This is so nerve-wracking because this is my first time actually setting up my audio and my camera equipment for the podcast and my future content. So I'm rather nervous about what this is going to look like, especially given the fact that I'm lightweight blind, so I can't really see in the little screen if I look good, but you know what? We're just going to do it on the whim. Who cares? Hi, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I know that it's been like a really long time since I last posted, but I figured that what better video to bring out than a 5-year update from when I made my first YouTube video. So if you are a new subscriber and you're like, okay, who is this girl? She talks about healing and testimony and things like that. My very first YouTube video was actually my testimony on my addiction as a mother. And if I'm being quite honest with you guys, I was not prepared for the blowback that I was going to get. And the reason why I was not prepared for that was because I was at a place in my life where I was so proud of myself for being able to quit cold turkey. I was so proud of myself for being able to be accountable and be aware and reach a level in my life of just more peace than I had experienced. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to go online. I'm going to give my testimony. This is my purpose. And nothing but good things are going to come out of it because, I'm doing this with such good intentions and I'm so proud of myself. And lo and behold, to me, I actually got a lot of criticism because the internet can be a very scary place. And initially, I didn't know how to respond to that. And I felt like I was really internalizing a lot of the comments that people were commenting on there. And it made me go through a period of time where I was questioning myself, like, am I a horrible mother? Do I deserve to get my kids taken away? Should I have just freaking off myself? Like, I started going through that whole process of shame and guilt that comes with being so open about something that is so taboo, which is ironically everywhere. You go and you drive down a neighborhood near you and you are seeing the result of addiction everywhere. But in my case, I guess it's more taboo because I was a mother. And an ugly truth about that is that a lot of mothers actually struggle with some kind of addiction. We have a whole wine culture that normalizes mothers drinking wine on a day-to-day basis when they have a hard day with their kids. That is a form of alcoholism. We have opiate addiction, mothers who, take a couple pills here and there to feel better. We have Xanax addiction, where mothers that are struggling with so much anxiety are on these anxiety medications, but that's normalized. One, because it's not talked about often. Two, because society normalizes it. So for me to talk about an addiction that I struggled with as a mother that was more of a street drug, I guess the blowback for that was more severe. As much as all that stuff was hard for me to hear, though, I needed it. And I needed it because part of holding yourself to a higher standard in life, part of being accountable for your fuck ups is accepting the consequences to your actions. And inevitably, the mother that I was being at that time and the person that I was being at that time, the feedback that I was getting was a repercussion of that action. And it is part of the healing process. And so once I started realizing that, one, I know my own intentions, I know where I'm coming from, and I know I can get through this, I no longer started internalizing the comments that people were making towards me. Two, it actually made me think of myself on a deeper level. I started to question, like, how is it that I could fall into addiction? How is it that I did allow myself to be this horrible mother? What the hell was going on with me? And that threw me into such a deep dive of my own healing that it really made me know myself more. So I'm almost thankful that people were talking shit to me the way that they were, because I was able to really realize about myself that I have always been a very codependent person. And it was always very hard for me to stand in my purpose and stand alone and be confident in who I am. And a lot of that stemmed from my childhood, from wanting to fight for love, wanting to fight to be accepted from my family, that I always felt like I had to please everyone else rather than myself. And when I was faced with that after dealing with some of the negative comments that people were making towards me, I was actually able to implement the work to step into my power and to be a confident person, to not be so codependent, and to rely on myself to get myself out of dark places in my life. And the more that I went through every single thing and started healing everything, the more I realized that I've had it in me all along. I just was scared to awaken the lion inside of me. I was scared because it was the unknown. I didn't know if that person inside of me was going to be loved unconditionally or accepted or honored, because I always was conditional with myself. I didn't love myself fully. I didn't think I was worthy. I didn't trust myself fully because I made decisions in my life that I questioned my own judgment. And why, if I'm someone that can trust myself, would I put myself in these situations? Because it was like contradicting, you know? And so now here we are 5 years later, and I am just so thankful for the fact that I actually went through addiction. And I know you probably hear that and you're like, how can you be thankful that you went through addiction? But the reality is that I come from a generational line of addicts and alcoholics. And for a long time, I didn't understand how my family members could fall victim to that. And I saw that my mom didn't fall victim to that. And I thought to myself, how is it that she could break this generational curse, and here I am living it? And going through it and getting through it really made me realize that I held the power within myself to further heal the next generations to come. The things that my uncles and my aunts could not heal, the cycles that they could not break, I was breaking. And I was breaking it in a way that was giving me so much wisdom and so much courage to speak out and stand in my testimony, that I knew that in doing so, I was going to be a light to my family, and I was going to help my family heal, not just myself, not just my parents, but my whole family. And since then, I have seen healing take place in my family like I've never seen before. I have aunts that I used to think of as being more cold and being more standoffish that are a lot more open to talking about their emotions. I've seen my mom hold herself to such a self-awareness that I never thought I would see her do. I've seen my dad become so accountable and just wanting to right his wrongs. I never thought I would see that day happen. And I've seen my grandma finally like begin to forgive herself for some of the mistakes that she made, and I'm seeing all these things transpiring around me. And not that I want to give myself the credit, but I do feel that my light and my courage to really devote myself to bettering myself and healing myself and standing in my testimony with such courage played a role in that, because it's real hard to navigate through things by yourself. It's real hard to try to figure out how you're going to get through those things by yourself. And I think that when you see somebody who is dealing with similar struggles and they're so open about it in a hopeful way, it gives you that hope that you can too reach that level. And it's just an essence that comes about you when you heal. And so I'm proud. And in these 5 years, I've dealt with the guilt and the shame of being a mother who was at such a dark place and made such poor choices. But now I see the mother that I am, the self-awareness that I have, the ability to just really think about things on such a deeper level and apply that wisdom and that knowledge to my mothering and to my relationship. And I can't help but be thankful for the dark places that I was once in, because without those dark places, I wouldn't have the wisdom that I have. And that is always a silver lining. And so I encourage you, if you're somebody that's in a dark place, that you alter your perspective, and rather than looking at it as I'm at rock bottom, looking at it as like I get to rebuild my foundation. Maybe I didn't have the foundation that I needed to as a childhood to help me succeed or help prevent some of these traumas, but I'm at a place in my life where I am so broken, I am so shattered, that I can pick up the pieces and put myself back together in the way that I want to. and manifest that for yourself, envision that for yourself, because that's what I did. I didn't know where I was going to start. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I knew that I wanted to be better. And I observed everyone around me and every example of healthiness and courageousness and bravery and strength that I saw. And I took a little bit of everybody and everything, and I created a foundation for myself to better myself. And I'm not going to just give the credit to myself, because that would be a lie. Really, the credit goes to God, because when I didn't have anybody, I turned to him, and I realized he always was the solution. And when I accepted him into my life, and said, all right, God, I'm going to let you guide me. I'm no longer going to run from my intuition. I'm not going to run from what I know is right, because I know that that's you talking to me. And even if it's something that I'm scared to do, I'm going to do it because I know that you're guiding me. And when I trusted in that, and I trusted in my intuitional connection with the Lord, I was taken out of my darkness in every way that I never thought was possible. And I'm not a religious person. If you follow me on social media, you know that I'm actually a believer that there's truth in all religions. I'm a very spiritual person. I believe in my own relationship with God. So I feel like I had to throw that out there, because I feel like a lot of people, as soon as I start talking about God or a higher power, they automatically assume I'm trying to force my views onto them. But I am going to stand in his glory, and I'm not going to run from that, nor am I going to be scared to say that he was the one that led me to the light. And if that resonates with you, then I urge you to not be scared to be led in blind faith, and trust in the process of him and his glory and his role in your life. So that is it for this video. I hope that you guys can see that I am just glowing. So many positive things are happening in my life. I started a mentorship program where people can come and they can apply for my mentorship program, and we just really break down the nitty-gritty of the things that they're struggling with in life. I'm starting my own podcast. As you can tell, this is part of my podcast setup. I'm going to try to be more active on YouTube, but to be honest, it's not like the top of my list. But that's it, you guys. So that being said, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. As always, all love in all ways, always. Bye, everybody.